Good afternoon, and welcome to Catholic Broadcasting Ministry Capuchin Television and to this special program taking care of your psycho-spiritual well-being. My name is Joyzy Pius Egunjobi, Reverend Father, and today we shall continue with where we stopped last week. Last week we did talk about anger, and of course we say a lot of things about anger. Summarily, we just know that anger is something that is very natural. It is part of us. And of course, it is our own way of defending ourselves. Well, what you can say, it's your own defense mechanism to actually make you, to keep you safe, And guess what? Anger makes you human. Yes, I repeat, anger makes you human. And that is why there is none of us who cannot be angry. We are all susceptible to anger. And of course, it is what you do with anger that actually makes it, whether it is good or bad. In the word of the scriptures, St. Paul says, be angry, but do not sin. I repeat, be angry, but do not sin. Do not let the sunset make you still angry. Do not give the devil the opportunity. We talked about that last week. So we continue in the same thing because, yes, this anger is something that is natural. Even when you don't really want to get angry, you can be angry. But how each and every one of us handle anger differs. And of course, there are some things people talk about anger that may not really be, or in the way we actually supposed to handle it, that may not really be. And so that's why we're going to be looking at what we call the myth about anger before we start talking about actually how can we manage anger. And I'll be talking about that later. So some people have said that, when you are angry, just ignore it. It will go away. Is that really true? They say just ignore it. It will go away. The reality is that if we have a feeling that persists and we deny it, it will manifest in other indirect, usually more harmful ways. And when you bottle it up, you just ignore it as if it is not there. You are not acknowledging that the fact that it's there. But the truth is that instead of ignoring anger, acting in anger can be delayed. You can delay it. We'll talk about that later. You don't have to ignore it, but you can delay. What I mean delay, you are not delaying the feeling because the feeling is there, but you are delaying what you do with your anger until when the intensity of the way you're feeling is reduced, then you can talk. Because when you act at the impulse of the anger, you can actually do the undoable. I was watching a video clip recently that was describing the issue of anger. The person took two bottles of Coca-Cola, and which is well corked, unopened, and he tried to shake the two. After shaking, then it opened one of them. And what happened? It erupted, and of course, by the time it spilled out, it was only remaining like a half of the bottle was left because majority of it have gone out. And then now, after some time, the other one was not opened. After some time, then they tried to open the second one, and guess what? Everything was calm. Yet both of them were shaking together. So when you talk about ignoring, again, it's not what we are talking about. We are talking about delaying. So, and that's why when you are angry, you don't want to start talking or start acting immediately because you'll be acting in anger. And when you're acting in anger, you are not acting in your right senses because your emotion has taken over you and has suppressed your judgment faculty. So you may do the unthinkable. Another thing people talk about is that, don't worry, time heals all wounds. Just let it be. Time heals. Of course, time does heal. However, when you are not expressing your emotion, or when you are not dealing with your emotion, not necessarily expressing, dealing with your emotion, it can really get into a level where something else triggers it. Because it is bottled up, you are not expressing it. When anything happens to trigger it, man, you're going to really act in such a way that you don't want to do. So what we talk about here is that you need to find appropriate time to talk about it. Talk about the way you feel. If you're angry, of course, remember, nobody can get you angry unless you agree to be angry. But even when you do get angry because of what somebody did, because the way you interpreted somebody's action or somebody's words, the word somebody said to you, don't act in a way again to just let it go, say, let go or let God. We'll talk about that later. But find an appropriate time to talk about it. When you think you are still boiling, it's still really disturbing you, you still feel like really retaliating or do something stupid, just keep calm. When your energy is down, then you can talk about it. Better you talk about it than you don't talk about it at all. Another thing we say is that let it out and you will feel better. And people say that a lot. And of course, people can tell you, punch anything you see, punch the bug, punch your pillow, or just say it because you are angry. You just have to say it. I will tell you, yes. Reactive expression of anger may provide a momentary subjective sense of relief. I repeat, a momentary subjective sense of relief. It's like, yeah, I've let it out. But, blowing your arms into the air and they're doing this and doing that. But what you really have to say is instead of doing that, what you need to do is again to find appropriate time to talk about it. You see, I've been repeating the same thing over and over again, saying, let it out at an appropriate time. At an appropriate time. When is the appropriate time? The appropriate time is when you are not so much in the feeling. When you have engaged your reasoning. Like I always say, God gave you the feeling, God gave you the reasoning so that they can balance the way you behave. So that you are not so much in the thinking, not taking into consideration what somebody is feeling or what you are feeling, or you are too much into your feelings that you don't actually want to think about it. Your feeling and your reasoning, they complement each other and they're supposed to make you act in an appropriate way. That's why we say you find an appropriate time. The time you feel like talking about it. No, I'm not stupid. I'm going to show you. I'm going to say what I want to say. That time you are still in your feelings. And guess what? Whatever you say at that time, whatever you do at that most of the time, they become very dangerous because remember, the person you are talking to also has feelings. The person you are talking to or you are trying to react, you are showing your anger to, also has a feeling and reasoning, and also can buy that same energy that you are throwing out and retaliate in the same way. That's how conflict begins. So find appropriate time to talk about it. Another thing we talk about is that if I'm not angry, others will take we walk all over me. They take advantage of me. If I don't show my anger, they think I'm stupid. Again, it is not about stupidity. Anger frequently gets results in the short term, and therefore is an easy habit to develop. But guess what? In the long run, it pushes you away and makes you to lose your credibility because you are actually showing your stupidity many times when you are flaring up. Remember, though we say it can get some results, like last week we were talking about that, you can use your anger to actually achieve something positive sometimes, but maybe not all the time. So again, what you need to do is that it is normal to be angry. We know that. It is very normal. It is part of your human self. It is part of your reality. It is part of you being human. But you do not, want to let that actually destroy you or destroy people around you. What you do and how you undo your anger is what matters. Yes. Again, when you are trying to delay it or to actually delay your reactions to an appropriate time, it's not because you are stupid. It's not because you are weak. It's not because you can't speak. It's not because you are senseless. It's just because you are wise. because you know how to control your emotion. You have high level of emotional intelligence to the level that you know when to react and when not to react. So another thing people say is that I can't help it. I'm an angry person. Okay? This attitude confuses feelings and acting, of course, leaving you at the mercy of ever fluctuating emotion. Nobody is really an angry person in the true sense of it. Of course, the study have shown that there are people who can have the problem with their amygdala in the brain, and that could actually make them to be susceptible to frequent anger or uncontrolled anger. But that's not too common. Nobody is really, in the truest sense of it, born to be an angry person. Anger is a secondary emotion, something that just come up because something has happened. And of course, the fact that we have that capacity to get angry, we also have the capacity, you have the capacity to also put that emotion under control. That's why you have your reasoning. And that's why you have to think about a lot of things before you let out of that word that you want to say, before you act out and start breaking things. So anger can be normal, but no one is born really angry, like I said. And of course, one keeps angry if one refuses to let it go and put it under control. When you are not looking for an appropriate time to act out, an appropriate time to say what you want to say, you think you have to say it right now because I'm angry and I have to show you right now. Of course, if somebody asks you, are you angry? You can say, yes, I am angry, but we'll talk about it later. I'm angry, but we'll talk about it later. But when you think I have to talk about it right now, again, it may not be you talking, maybe anger talking through you. And by the time he says that, because remember, like I said last week, when you're angry, there's no fear. You are not afraid of anybody. There's no respect of anything. You are not even thinking about the consequences. You just want to do that right now, the way you feel right now. But many times, you can think about it in your life. You are the one that actually messed up. Psychologically, you are deranged. Spiritually, you are far away, and of course, even physically, you are shaking, your heart is panting. You are actually destroying yourself biopsychosocial, techno-spiritually. You are making things worse for yourself. But when you are able to take control, that's when you are actually giving yourself, taking care of yourself, and don't let just something that is outside of you take all over you to make you to do things you don't want to do in the real sense. So some people also say it's other people and situations that make me angry. Yeah, people do say that. People get me angry. But the issue is that, like I said earlier, you have to give them the permission. You have to give the permission to be angry. If somebody is making you do whatever it is that could make you angry, if you have a positive attitude towards it, guess what? You overcome. So we'll be looking at that again, and we say you have the choice to be angry and not to be angry. I know some of you may want to dispute that. Yes, if you are not in touch with yourself, you may think it just take over me. I can't control myself. But guess what? You chose to be. And that's what you have to know. So when we come back after, we're going to have a little break. As usual, when we come back from break, we'll start talking about how to manage this emotion called anger. Stay tuned.
Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy, hail our life and sweetness and our hope. To you do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To you do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. Turn then, most gracious Advocate, your eyes of mercy toward us, and after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of your womb, Jesus, O merciful, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary. Amen.
To get Hail Holy Queen as your Skiza tune, send Skiza followed by code 738-10258 and send it to 811.
Welcome, Karibu, Catholic Broadcasting Ministry, Capuchin TV, and to this program taking care of your psycho-spiritual well-being. Again, we've been talking about anger and your health, and we've looked at the different myths people have about anger. Talking about it is other people and the situation that makes me angry. Talking about I can't help it, I'm an angry person. And talking about I'm not angry, others, if I'm not angry, others will, walk all over me, or saying that let it out and you will feel better, or time heals all wounds, or ignore it, it will go away. These are different things people say, and of course, yes, there may be a way we undo anger sometimes, and that may be very helpful to some people many times, but guess what? Maybe that's not the best time we need to deal with anger. Anger, like I said earlier, is part of us, and when it's part of you, then talking about you want to cure it, it means you want to be dead. Because the only time you may not be able to get angry is when you are no longer here on earth. Because when you are here, there will be situations that are frustrating, there will be disappointment, there will be troubles. In fact, Jesus also talked about that. In the world, you are going to have your troubles. So there will be troubles, and when things happen, even when you are not satisfied with the way you live your life, all those things can get you angry and then can make you do a lot of crazy stuff. However, while anger is not curable, we know that it is manageable. And of course, that's why we don't talk about anger treatment. We talk about anger management. Again, we don't talk about anger treatment. We talk about anger management because it can be managed. It is your emotion. And don't forget that. It is your emotion. You do not belong to your emotion. Your emotion belongs to you. So your emotion should not take over you to control you. Rather, you should take hold of your emotion and channel your emotion the way you really want to channel it. So there have been different strategies and methods that you can use actually to control or to put anger under control, or to slow down, to slam it a little bit so that it is not taking over you. A way of telling your emotion, look, I am in control here. And that is why I said earlier that your brain, also your reasoning faculty, has a part to take in expressing yourself, either verbally, non-verbally, or or in action, behaviorally, or in action, in true action. Of course, people have talked about the best way to manage anger is to be quiet, to be silent. Yes, that is very true, but we know that silence in this case can be positive, can be negative. There's a positive silence in this case where you are trying to be quiet for a moment, and again to allow yourself to regain your strength, your energy, to engage your brain into thinking, to consider the consequences before you begin to say what you want to say, or because you begin to do what you want to do. And that is when you are looking for an appropriate time to really act out or to express yourself. That is one silence, but that is positive. The negative one, you know, you can also use silence to deal with somebody. You can use silence to provoke somebody into anger. You can use silence to make somebody look like he's useless, stupid, or anything negative word you want to use for that person. And in that case, the person reacts in a particular way that can also aggravate your own anger. And of course, but what we are talking about here is that, you know, you need to learn how to calm down. I repeat, you have to learn how to calm down. And one of the best way is take a deep breath. When the situation happens, of course, you feel hurt. Of course, you feel like slapping the person. Of course, you feel like breaking everything around you. Of course, you feel like hitting your head on the wall. Just slow down. Take a deep breath. You can do it 2 or 3 times. You know, when you do that, you do a lot of things to yourself. Actually, you do yourself a lot of good. One, when you do that, you release your emotion because you take in a lot of oxygen. That actually, you know, it's like when you are angry, it's like there's fire burning in your head. And then when you do that, you know, it's like you calm it down. You just quench the fire. And then when your brain is cool, your whole body is settled because you are energized from the brain to your nerve cells, and you're able to calm down. Then you can say to yourself, okay, we'll talk about it later. So you take a deep breath. That's one thing you can do to, you know, and they do it severally. For some of us, that works perfectly well, but I can admit that for some people, maybe not, because we are not all the same. Just like some people can get in touch with their feelings, some people cannot. And the way we manage our emotions are different. So it may not work for everybody, but it can work for most people. You take a deep breath. Another thing we talk about is like you call it delay tactics. What is the delay tactics? It's like you are in this emotion of you're angry. You feel like saying a lot of things, but you tell yourself, calm down. And then in order to actually make it work to calm down really, you start counting. You know, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Guess what? By the time you engage in that of counting, you have reduced the way you are feeling. You know, it has the intensity must have reduced to the level that what you could have done with an impulse, because that's the issue. The anger that is very dangerous is that when you are angry, you act with it immediately. When you are angry, you talk immediately, just the way you felt. But when you have actually delayed it, it calms you down. It engages your mind, your thinking faculty, your judgment to look at, no, don't say that. You know? So you just delay. And you need that to do. That when you this anger just come up, just delay it. If you can succeed in delaying it. If you cannot, you know, just count down or count up, whatever. Tell yourself you want to count 1 to 30. By the time you are able to do that, you are a little bit in a better place that even when you eventually speak, it will not come out with the fire of anger that you have. Another way that I love very much is that you can laugh it off. You can laugh it off. Try to laugh at the issue. If it isn't too bad, your father is talking to you, and you are getting angry at what your father is saying, you start laughing. That's disrespectful. That's not what I'm talking about. But take, for instance, I break my phone. After breaking my phone, I feel really mad, and I feel like destroying everything, and, you know, even slam it more on the ground. I can laugh at it, laugh at myself, like at my own carelessness, you know, just laugh at it, and then you are better, you feel much better when you do that. Again, that kind of tactics, you need to be very careful. you don't just laugh at everything. You have to look at the situation, the circumstances, who you are dealing with, where you are. Yeah. Of course, you can even laugh if your friend says something. If it's your friend that got you angry, you can laugh about that. But if it's somebody that accords your respect, and honor, and of course you want to show that you're a person of integrity, and of course that you are a person that of your whichever way you can laugh about that. But that you have to take it, be careful. Another way is that you can walk away. When you are angry, or the situation or circumstances or environment is the environment that is making you to get angry, or that you are responding to with anger. You don't want it means that at that moment that environment is toxic. So you don't want to stay in a toxic environment. You can do two things. You can just walk away. Walk away out and come back, and that can help. Or you just change and take do a little exercise, run out and when you do that, you are actually trying to get the energy or the negative energy caused by anger out of your system. By the time you return home, you can think better. Of course, when you are jogging or walking away, you are also engaging in a lot of activities in your brain, trying to consider the situation and try to see how best you are to respond to it. So another thing you can do is to channel your emotion into something useful. And what does that mean? You are angry, you can begin to actually listen to music, the music you love, that can calm you down. If you are an artist, you can begin to paint, that can help you. If you can't do that, you can start journaling. Not writing crazy stuff about what the person did to you, but whatever you want to write anyway. So by the time you are doing that, you channel it to something that is useful. Again, not something that is negative, or you start molding something, or you start being creative in any way, or even watch a movie. Whatever way, you are actually helping yourself. And of course, lastly, you need to, if you know that you are dealing with your anger, and maybe all that I'm talking about right now is not helping out, maybe it's just a little bit beyond you, that may require professional help. So you may need to approach a psycho-spiritual therapist. And if you don't know any psycho-spiritual therapist around, you may want to actually approach a psychologist or a therapist, psychotherapist, or a spiritual director, or anyone that you know may be of help. Even talking to your friend may help sometimes. But if you see that this anger is too much on you, that is not helping, we are trying to do it, maybe different. You have tried out many things that I talk about, you may need a professional help to help you to manage this emotion, secondary emotion called anger. Again, if you don't take hold of your anger, it takes hold of you. It takes hold of you. And if you don't try to manage it, it can actually destroy you. People have destroyed their relationship because they are angry. People have destroyed they have lost their job because of anger. People are in prison today because they are of anger. People have died because of anger. People have killed themselves even because of anger. You don't want that to happen. Again, it is your emotion. Don't forget that. You do not belong to that emotion. And because it is yours, you own it and you can put it under control to manage it, to manage the way you react, especially manage about what to say. Remember, words are like egg. When you utter them, you may think it is over. But guess what? The one to whom you speak to will forever be remembering that. So you need to take care about that. Once again, that is what we have for us about anger. Maybe next week we'll talk about something else. Again, this is Catholic Broadcasting Ministry, Capuchin Television, and this is this program taking care of your psycho-spiritual well-being. My name is Joyzy Pius Egunjobi. Reverend Father, we run this program every Thursday, 2:30 to 3 p.m. 2:30 to 3 p.m. Eastern African Time. And of course, again, if you like this program, you like what we're doing, and other programs you watch on Capuchin TV, please subscribe. The more you subscribe, the more you are helping us to propagate this ministry. So please subscribe, and not just subscribing, also share with your family and friends. With your families and friends, your colleagues, your fellow student, whoever it is that you also wanted to benefit from this program. Once again, have a good afternoon and God bless you.